Ukraine with plans to allocate $100 million to multilateral development banks and an additional $200 million for humanitarian efforts next year. This announcement was made by Finance Minister Chu Kyung-ho during a meeting of economy ministers today. Moreover, South Korea plans to invest $2 billion in its Economic Development Cooperation Fund over the medium to long term. This investment is intended to aid in the reconstruction and modernization of Ukraine's infrastructure, creating opportunities for South Korean companies to participate in these efforts. This aid package aligns with the commitment previously made by President Yoon Suk-yeol at the G20 summit held in New Delhi in September. The Gyeonggi provincial government offices were subject to a raid by prosecutors amidst accusations that Lee Jae-myung, the leader of the main opposition Democratic Party, allowed his wife to improperly use a provincial corporate card while he was the Gyeonggi governor. On Monday, the Suwon District Prosecutor's Office initiated a search and seizure operation at both the southern and northern offices of Gyeonggi Province to collect pertinent evidence. The search warrant also extended to restaurants and stores where the corporate card was allegedly used, with Lee being implicated on charges related to breach of duty. In local news, Busan Mayor Park Hyung-jun visited the National Assembly today to advocate for the resolution of major issues in Busan, including the speedy construction of the Gadokdo New Airport and a relocation of the Korea Development Bank to Busan. He delivered a letter to the offices of Lee Jae-myung, the leader of the Democratic Party, and Hong Ik-pyo, the party's floor leader, urging the passage of a legal amendment for the bank's relocation by the end of the year. It has been revealed that Busan Metro failed to adequately refund fares to passengers when trains are unable to operate due to accidents or malfunctions. According to the comprehensive audit report of the Busan Transportation Corporation by the Busan Metropolitan City Audit Committee on the 3rd, about 80% of the 3,615 passengers who had to disembark due to a derailment accident on subway line on May the 14th last year did not receive fare refunds. The city's audit committee has recommended the Busan Transportation Corporation to take active steps to guide fare refunds and ensure thorough management. The Junggu Gwangbokno Winter Light Tree Festival is set to begin on December the 8th throughout January the 14th under the theme of Shining Heritage 345. It celebrates the 345-year history of the district, starting from when the Choryang Waegwan, a diplomatic post with Japan, was located in Yongdusan Park in 1678. The main tree of the festival features responsive illumination technology that changes colors upon touch. At the entrance of Gwangbokno, a light installation representing the Light Fountain of Liberation, which will be constructed by the end of the year, is being set up. In international news, Israeli ground forces have initiated an incursion into southern Gaza following 3 days of intense bombardment. The operation, confirmed by Israeli Army radio, began north of Khan Yunis. Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, informed reservists that the IDF had conducted significant operations in northern Gaza and was now doing the same in the south. The IDF spokesperson confirmed that the ground invasion is expanding across Gaza, involving direct combat with the terrorists. An explosion during a Catholic Mass at the gymnasium of Mindanao State University's Marawi in the Philippines resulted in the deaths of 4 people and injured 42 others, mostly with minor wounds. Marawi is known as the country's largest Muslim city and was previously the site of a 5-month conflict in 2017 between government forces and Islamic State-linked militants. The Islamic State group has claimed responsibility for the attack, as reported by the AFP news agency. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. condemned the explosion, describing it as a senseless and most heinous act and attributing it to foreign terrorists without providing further details. And now taking a look at the weather here, it's currently 16 degrees Celsius under clear skies. Fine dust and ultrafine particle levels are rated normal. And that wraps up for this hour's news. Thank you for joining us. You're listening to BEFM 부산영어방송.
Your best choice. BEFM 부산영어방송.
Coming up next is Steve Hatherly Reboot with Steve Hatherly. BFM 부산영어방송.
What you're about to hear is amazing. That's because you're locked in to Busan's #1 English radio station. Whether you're at home, at work, or driving in your car, you will be exposed to radio excellence. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show because it starts right now.
Bad habits are some of the things I think that separate us from the rest of the animal kingdom. You know, I think about that topic a lot, maybe more often than I should. They are so prominent, bad habits, in our lives that it even prompted Ed Sheeran to make a song about the topic. Some people smoke, some people eat too much unhealthy food, some people bite their fingernails. That's me. I'm guilty on that one. Anyway, bad habits, they come in many, many shapes and forms. I told you one of mine, so what's yours? It's Monday, December 4th, 2023. I'm Steve Hatherly. This is Steve Hatherly Reboot. Let's go. Ed Sheeran, Bad Habits, and that song always makes me smile when I hear it. I don't think you can call this a bad habit, and I think a lot of people do this, but one of the things that my wife does when she finds a song that she really, really likes, she'll listen to it one time, and then again, and then again, and then again, and again, and again, on repeat. And it drives me crazy. I don't listen to music that way. Even if I love a song, I just don't do that with songs. I know a lot of people do that. Again, I don't think you'd call that a bad habit. But anyway, one day she was taking a bath. She likes to take a bath with some candles and listen to music. It's kind of like her meditation time, if you will. And I was cleaning the house, and this song was playing. And then it played again. And then it played again. And she wasn't listening with headphones. It was on speaker in the bathroom. So I finally, after like the 8th time, I said, darling, are you auditioning for like a reality show or something? She said, what are you talking about? I said, this song has been playing for like a half an hour. And she said, oh, the phone is too far away from the bathtub to get up and change it because the setting on the phone was repeat. So that's why it's been repeating, and we had a laugh about that. And now every time I hear that song, I kind of laugh when I think I know all the words. I think I know all the words just from that one afternoon. Anyway, that moody tune finds Ed Sheeran in a deep, deep, deep internal conflict about his bad habits. His unhealthy lifestyle, such as nighttime drinking and partying, is leading him to making some poor choices, which he later regrets. The song sparked a short-form media trend where creators showcase their own personal bad habits, ranging from never washing to overeating. Overeating, I think we're all guilty of from time to time. And who knows, maybe never washing as well. You know, sometimes you get home from work on a Friday and you don't really leave the house until the following Monday. So you just kind of, I don't know, forget to take a shower, to take a bath. I suppose it can happen. Anyway, super popular tune and a fun tune to get us into the show today. I am live in the studio from Busan on this Monday afternoon. Welcome to the show, everyone. You're tuned in on BEFM 90.5 in Busan and 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Zhongguan, and Noksan areas. In Seoul on TBS EFM, that's 101.3. And in Gwangju on GFN 98.7. I'm your host, Steve Hatherly. Thank you very much for being with us to kick off your week. Did you have a good weekend? Speaking of staying home and doing nothing, yeah, that's kind of what we did on the weekend. I'm moving this week. I'm really excited about that. I'm the only one in our relationship who is excited about that. My wife's excited to be in a new space, a new apartment, but she doesn't enjoy the moving process. So I said, I'll take care of it. Aren't I a nice husband? I said, don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of it. You just focus on your work and leave the other stuff to me. Now, little does she know, I actually kind of enjoy this stuff. So it's not a big deal for me at all. So again, over the weekend, and I really want to give myself a pat on the back because I was smart about it. Every weekend for the past maybe month or so, just throwing stuff away slowly, stress-free, not worrying about the move at all, just kind of going around the house and, oh, we don't need that anymore, and then taking it downstairs to the recycling or to the donation box. And that's really made the start to this week really quite pleasant, I think. Going to go over and clean the new space after the show today. Oh, my goodness. Cleaning services are so expensive. I looked into a couple of different companies over the weekend to perhaps go and clean the space so that we wouldn't have to do it. It's different in Korea. You go in and you clean your apartment before you move in. It's not that it's particularly dirty per se. It's just that that's kind of what people do. In Canada, it's the other way around. When you move out, you are completely responsible for a deep cleaning of that apartment so that people, when they move in, they don't have to do it themselves. It's neither bad nor good. It's just the other way around, I suppose. Anyway, I looked at some prices. Goodness me. $270,000, $350,000. It was really quite expensive. So I said, Nope, not going to pay for that, so I'll just do it myself. So that's what I'll be up to when the show concludes this afternoon, and that was my weekend. Tell me about your weekend. I hope you had a good one. We're into a brand new week, the first official week, I suppose, full week of December, and we are now into the final month of the year, too. It's kind of cool, I think. We're almost at the end of another year. This one, I talked about it a lot, went by super, super quickly. All right, go on over to YouTube, watch our live stream there, youtube.com, and search BEFM or Busan영어방송 in Korean. You can find our live stream there, and you can watch that live stream until the songs start to play. And once they do start to play, the songs will fade out. And when they fade out, then you will have to open up your BEFM app, or you can listen to the music through FM radio as well. That is due to music copyright issues. We apologize for that. We know that that's not ultra convenient for you, but that's the workaround. That's how you can enjoy the program to its fullest. Once the songs stop, then you can go ahead and resume your live stream. All right, that's the YouTube info. So now let's talk about what's coming up on the show today. We'll kick things off with Hot Off the Press, where you'll check out some of the newest, hottest tracks from the world of music. I've got some info on the artist and some info on the song as well. After that, it's Monday afternoon, and that means Casey will join me in the studio for today's Need to Know. He will bring some under-the-radar news stories from outside the mainstream media, but are still, of course, important to us. Casey will stay with me for what remains of the first hour. Then, in hour number 2, for our fun fact of the day, we're talking about habits. And talking about bad habits and good habits, I think we focus more on the negative than on the positive. And my question for you today is going to be on the negative side of things. So I thought, for our fun fact of the day, why don't we look at the positive? One surprising habit that will dramatically improve your life. This is according to Steve Jobs. And we always look at the more successful people in the world, don't we? When we're looking for inspiration, things that we can do to change ourselves, to upgrade ourselves. So this one habit, according to Steve Jobs, will dramatically change your life, and that'll be our topic for our fun fact of the day. Then, for me, myself, and I, we're talking about mindless habits. Things that we do on a daily basis that we don't really think about. Well, apparently, those mindless daily habits that we have reveal things about our own personalities according to science. I think we have to take these with a grain of salt when we get there in the second hour, but still kind of fun to have a look at this list, I think. That'll be me, myself, and I. After that, perfect playlist. We have the perfect songs for every situation. And, of course, I'll check your messages throughout the program as well. All right, question of the day. Come on, tell me. This is what I want to know. Tell me one of your bad habits. If you want, you can tell me your worst habit. What is your worst habit? But you don't have to. If you don't want to share that information, that might be a little bit too personal. So just tell me one of your bad habits. We all have them. We all have them. And I'll share some of mine throughout the program as well. 여러분의 나쁜 습관은 무엇인가요? Think about your answer and then share it with me. Text me, # 9050. That's on your cell phone for 101. You can add us on Kakao Talk for free and send messages for free by searching BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores. You can listen to our programs there and leave us a comment after logging in. Chelsea sent in a message already and said, "Hey, Steve, enjoy the lead up to the move. There is something enjoyable about cleaning a space to get ready to fill it up with all of your own things. We ourselves decked the halls over the weekend. It's Christmas in our apartment, and I love it." And Chelsea sent in a photo as well. You put up the Christmas tree. I was talking about that on my morning show. Please listen to that. The Boombox, BEFM 90.5 in Busan, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I'm live every day, Monday to Friday. That's what I was asking this morning. Has anyone put up their Christmas tree just yet? Because I said that it typically happens at the beginning of December in Canada. At least for my family, that's when we did it. And I guess that's what you do too, Chelsea. The Christmas tree is up in the living room by the looks of things. Well done with the decorating as well. Really nice. That looks like it's about 5-6 feet tall. That's a good looking tree. Now it just needs the presents under there, right? But those have to wait, I suppose. Thanks for the messages, Chelsea. All right, you've got all the information you have for now, or you need for now. We'll have a break, and when we come back, we'll check out today's Hot Off the Press. Here is Don Tolliver and Offset. Worth it. That was Don Tolliver and Offset with Worth It. We're back, and it's time for today's Hot Off the Press, where from Monday to Friday, we bring you two of the newest, hottest tracks from the world of music, and a lot of songs are released every week. We pick out a couple each day that we hope that you'll enjoy. We'll start today with Mimi Webb, Back Home for Christmas. Pop songstress Mimi Webb continues to spread a little festive cheer this week with the release of the music video for her brand new holiday single. Again, it's called Back Home for Christmas. Effortlessly capturing the true essence of the song, the super cute clip sees Webb hanging out, opening presents, and letting loose in her very own self-made Christmas grotto. After that, we'll hear Henry Moody. This one's called Orbit. Rising pop recording artist Henry Moody continues to make his presence felt in the world of music with the unveiling of his latest single and music video for Orbit. Filled with glorious harmonies and imaginative lyrics that depict the exhilarating thrill of a new romance, the rousing power ballad serves as yet another example of Moody's innate ability to produce timeless pop records that radiate with emotion and feeling. Two good tunes on the way for today's Hot Off the Press. Let's hear 'em. Mimi Webb's new one, Back Home for Christmas, and then Henry Moody, Orbit.
Just like that, first stood to
Those were our two tracks for Hot Off the Press today. Henry Moody, Orbit, and before that, Mimi Webb, Back Home for Christmas. Our question today, what is one of your bad habits? I want to know. 여러분의 나쁜 습관은 무엇인가요? I have a really bad one where I will use my index finger and I will scratch the skin on my thumb, the side of my thumb where my nail meets my skin. Does that make sense? So I'll show the camera like this, like I scratch it without even thinking about it. I think it might be a nervous habit or a stress-related habit because I don't even think about it. But when it does happen, when I do it, it creates like this raw little area of skin next to my thumbnail, and it's just really bad. And I do it on the left, and I do it on the right. I do it both times. I pick at the skin. Isn't that terrible? That's such a bad habit. That's one of mine. Tell me one of yours. 여러분의 나쁜 습관은 무엇인가요? Tell me one of your bad habits. Text me pounder sharp 9050. That will cost you 100 won for texting in. You can add us on Kakao Talk for free and send messages for free by searching BEFM or Busan영어방송 in Korean. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores. You can listen to our programs there and leave us a comment after logging in. Do you do that one, Casey, where you scratch the... Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so it would be like right where the cuticle, shall we?
Yes.
Right where that like kind of joins your skin.
Yeah, and then you just kind of pick at it.
No,
Isn't that bad? Oh, you're so good. You don't do that.
I played guitar this weekend and I did take off some skin here.
On the side of your thumb?
Yeah, but I don't do it habitually.
That was guitar related?
Yeah, I was just like, well, I'm gonna play without my pick for a moment.
What is one of your bad habits, Casey?
And I was thinking, like, actually, my worst one is like being a procrastinator in general. That's like,
yes.
Yeah, it just causes so much unnecessary stress.
It's true. Not every bad habit is physical, right?
No.
Procrastinating things like what? Give us one example.
Anything. Anything that I can put off, I'll do it. Like whether it's like checking homework, whether it's like assigning homework, putting it up, or attendance, anything. It's just I don't know why. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to do it.
I remember that was on a sitcom many years ago. I think it was Cheers, the sitcom Cheers.
Yeah.
And Ted Danson's character said his theory on life was ignore your problems; they'll just go away.
Maybe that's what I'm trying to do.
And I think that maybe works sometimes, but 99.9% of the time, probably not a good theory to live by.
No, and then you're just like, oh man, now I got to do it now. And then, but in a weird way, it helps me get things done faster because when I do start things early, I take forever.
So when you start it, you don't stop until it's finished.
Right.
I got it.
Yeah.
Chelsea texted in earlier, Casey, with a picture of her Christmas tree. Did you put up the Christmas tree yet?
We did, yeah.
Oh,
we
you
already
did over the weekend?
No, it's been a couple weeks. They started early. My kids just want to see a Christmas tree and lights. So, like, I think it was like before even like American Thanksgiving, they had it up already. I was like, already? Okay.
Mid-November?
Yeah, it was something. It was ridiculously early. Yeah.
Well, it's cool though because the Christmas tree acts like a lamp.
It does. Yeah, and the kids, it actually keeps their focus for a little bit. You know what I mean? It gives them something to look at every now and then so not fight.
Wait, you just told me you're a huge procrastinator.
Yes.
When Christmas season is finished, when does the tree come down?
Next Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Right
it's
around
still there from 2022. You didn't put it up again. It's just redecorated.
Secret's out.
Yeah, right. Good to see you, Casey. How you doing this week?
Good. Yeah, had a good weekend, and happy to be here on a Monday as usual.
Good stuff. Let's get into it then, shall we?
Let's do it.
Time for today's Need to Know, and Casey's here to bring us some under-the-radar news stories from outside the mainstream media, but of course still important for us to know. What are we talking about today?
Well, today I want to talk about green spaces, and this is something when I started reading this, I was like, I think there's actually a lot of green around here. I don't know. Do you have that same impression? Do you feel like there's a lot of green spaces where you live?
In Busan?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I can compare it to Seoul, just generally speaking, it feels a little less concrete jungle-ish here in Busan than it does in Seoul. I'm not sure if that's a fair evaluation or not, but that's just kind of the general impression that I get.
The feel, right? That's how you feel, right? And I think maybe because there's like a mountain everywhere, like
Yeah. Which is covered in trees.
Exactly.
And there's a massive ocean next to us.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does feel like there's like nature around us here a lot, which is weird for a lot of cities are not like that. I think.
Yeah.
I would speculate in general.
Oh, yes. I'm not saying anything bad about Seoul. That's any big city in the world.
Right.
Feels like a concrete jungle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's good news for us then, I think. I think this is good news for us. According to some new research, living in green areas, and when I say green, I mean, yeah, exactly like you said, with lots of trees everywhere. Living in green areas acts as an anti-aging fountain of youth.
Oh, interesting. So basically living in nature.
Yeah, like without even having to like I think a lot of times when we think about green, you do think about having to be outside of a city. But it is possible for some cities. They do pull it off fairly well. Like New York City has a huge park right in the middle of Manhattan. When I say huge, it's huge. So yeah, just having those green spaces within a city is enough to kind of be an anti-aging fountain of youth. Sounds great, right?
Is it the color green? I'm curious to know. Is it something that our brain associates with peace, perhaps, or comfort? Or relaxation? Or is it the fact that it's trees and flowers and lakes and things like that?
I think technically you could probably say all of the above, but this study was very specific, and they measured something called telomeres, which I'll have to. Do you know what telomeres are?
No. Is
Okay.
that one of the Teletubbies?
No, telomere was not like the what was that? The Knights of the Round Table? No, it wasn't like an old Teletubby.
Yeah.
A telomere is something every one of your cells has. And basically, this study was kind of a new angle of measuring age and the environment and how it all affects it. And so basically, they took about 8,000 people who participated in a national survey with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in the U.S., and they also examined medical records, and they kind of correlated where people live. If there's like a lot of greenery, how does it affect how they age and their general health, right?
So they looked at people who live around trees and flowers and all the things we mentioned before versus people who don't.
Right.
And then they just kind of compared the two groups.
Right, and like the average medical data and how long people lived and all of that. But the key was they used telomeres as a measure. So a telomere, I think this was a really good way to compare it because I'm not a scientist. So in this article, they said, picture a telomere as kind of like the plastic tip on your shoelace. So like once that starts to go, the shoelace is like got no chance of making it anymore, right?
Okay.
So the shoelace would be like your DNA within your chromosome. And this telomere is like that protective coating that keeps the DNA together.
So like the quality of your skin, for the elasticity in your skin, for example?
Sure. Yeah. So everything related to aging comes down to like these telomeres and how long they are. So the longer they are, the more the cell is able to divide and regenerate. And then once these telomeres are shot, that cell's just going to die.
Oh, okay.
So this is how we age, basically.
Yeah. So so according to the research, what they found was that the telomeres last longer.
Yeah.
The closer to green spaces that we live.
Right. And kind of. And it's like kind of like all things being equal because, just being near a green space is not enough if your green space is in like a war zone, for example. Like obviously that's not going to work, right?
Right, yeah.
So yeah, they kind of took into all things considered, but basically, yeah, being near green spaces protect us from aging. That's what they came up with.
What's the connection between the protection of cells and the green spaces? Did they find an answer why?
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of answers that came from this study, and some of them just kind of make sense if you think about it. So one, for example, is if you're close to a green space, you're more likely to do physical activity like walking or jogging or cycling.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're going to be in better general overall health, right? Cardiovascular health, you're less likely to be obese. In general, you're likely to be physically fit, and that will help this telomere survive longer within your cells.
Understood.
You're less likely to have things like hypertension, type 2 diabetes, which obviously are not good for your cell health in general. But also, this is kind of cool, because parks do kind of serve as like a communal area. This is where people can go and just kind of... Exactly, which is good for your mental health.
Okay.
So the cells, right, within your brain, these telomeres are basically being protected and receiving less damage.
So I guess it is everything together, right? Because being around green spaces, being around trees and rivers and parks, it is good for your mental health because you feel a little bit more at peace. But
Yes.
just as important, because the green space is there, you'll make use of the green space.
That's right.
And that helps you to stay young.
That's right. And, you did mention, like, does it have to be actually physically like trees and plants? And that does play a part as well. They did mention that being near or spending time near parks or near trees can actually decrease cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So, like, that's a physical effect from trees on the human body.
Yeah.
And these are, like, direct things that they can actually attribute to the cell health. And basically, according to one of the professors in the study, the idea is, like, if you have this longer telomere, it's considered a younger telomere, but basically that just means you have more protection for the cell, that specific cell. And in other words, the longer it is, the longer it will last.
So the practical takeaway here is starting now,
Yeah.
let's all surround ourselves somehow with some greenery in our lives, and this will keep our telomeres young for a very long time.
Well, that would be nice if we could just all agree to do that, right? So actually, who this study is more for is for, like, urban planners.
Okay.
So, like, city planners, like, there's a lot of benefits besides the ones I've mentioned. If you have appropriate amounts of green space within a city, it can actually cool the city down, right? They call it, like, the jungle, what are they, heat island, I think, the heat island effect of cities, like all the concrete bouncing rays sunlight and everything, just raising the temperature. But if you have enough trees, that will lower that, which you spend less energy as a city overall.
Okay.
People feel more comfortable, especially in the summer heat. So there's all kinds of benefits. And the thing is, when they did this study, they discovered that, not everybody has equal access to greenery just because it's there. There might be, like, societal divisions within a city. This park is for these people, not for these people. So those kind of problems and divides have to be bridged as well.
Well, geographical convenience, too, right? If there's
Sure.
a park 20 miles away
Yep.
on the other side of the city, you're probably not going to go to that park very often, right?
Exactly. So the people within that immediate area might benefit from that park, but everybody else far away is like,
But then the homes or the housing next to those beautiful parks is often more expensive, and that's where you get your socioeconomic divide.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big part.
It's all a spider web, isn't it? It's all
It is.
connected somehow, some way. Interesting story to get us going today. We'll have a break, and when we come back, what's the topic?
Let's talk about food.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we like that on this show. Here's To the Lonely by Fetty Legrand and Simon Ward.
This goes out to the lonely.
Fetty Legrand and Simon Ward, To the Lonely. Today with Casey in Need to Know. Before the break, we talked about the fact that being around green in general is good for us. Teletubbies. Still got that word stuck in my head. Ceremonies. What are they called?
Telomeres.
Telomeres.
Think Guinevere.
Telomeres. The things that protect. They are our DNA protectors.
Yeah.
And the more we protect them, then the better we look and the better we age as we get older. And being in green spaces can help out with that. But now we're going to switch over to the topic of food.
That's right.
More specifically?
Well, we're going to compare diets. And this is something I feel like this always comes up in the news. I can't go like a week without reading the news without hearing about some kind of new diet. The 30-30-30 is the new thing I heard. I don't even know what that is.
30-30-30.
I don't even know. Like there's all kinds of diet trends that pop that TikTok their way into existence,
Yes,
shall we?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and the topic never goes away, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think one reason for that is because there are a lot of studies about different diets, but when you compare one group of people to another group of people, it's kind of like, well, are they the same? Like, how similar can these groups of people be anyway? You can just see within your family how different people eat and react to food, right?
Yep.
So this study takes kind of a different approach, which I thought was really interesting. They actually used twins. And the headline from CNN for this one was, one identical twin went vegan while the other didn't, and see what happened.
Oh, so it was like a research study.
Yes.
With two identical twins. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this only about the one set of twins then?
That's what the headline makes it sound like. However, they did have 22 pairs of identical twins that were involved.
Okay. Yep.
So it's more than just one group. And they said, this study is unusual because they actually used genetically identical twins, which is not very easy to get twins to sign up for a study together, I assume.
Yeah.
But they actually wanted to do this because they do share similar lifestyle behaviors, everything down to like haircuts and clothes. So as similar as people can be. So one of the twins would follow a vegan diet for 8 weeks, and the other twin was assigned an omnivore diet, which means, you can basically eat anything.
Eat whatever you want.
Right. And then they followed those diets for 8 weeks, and then they compared the two at the end to see what the difference was.
Okay, a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Is 8 weeks, that's 2 months,
That's
right? Is
Yeah.
that long enough to draw an accurate conclusion about what your body or how your body responds to a vegan diet versus an omnivore diet? That's question number one.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, just the diets themselves, a vegan diet to an omnivore diet.
Yep.
It's not really fair to compare, is it? Because one is plant-based.
Right.
One is obviously healthier than the other.
You would
Or
assume
that's my
that.
assumption.
That would be my assumption as well, and I
Okay.
think they're prepared for that criticism and that feedback because they did say, so when they took the twins, and prepared them for this diet, they wanted to make sure they were both eating as healthy as possible. So, because we assume vegan, we associate that with being healthy, right?
Yeah.
But, eating meat, a lot of people just hear that like, oh, that's not going to be that good for you.
Uh-huh.
So what they did was like during the first 4 weeks, the meals were actually prepared for each twin. They were provided to them so they could see what kind of food they should be eating. So the one thing they wanted to make sure was that they were both eating as healthy as possible. And the lead author, his name is Christopher Gardner, he did say also, people have this weird assumption about veganism. As long as it's not made from animals, it's vegan. Thus it's healthy, right? But that's not the case either. Like pancakes could technically be vegan, but they're not healthy for you because it's like refined flour, right?
Right. It's processed food.
Right. So-
Processed food can still be vegan.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, right. That's true. We associate the vegan diet, or just the word vegan in general, with like this ultra super healthy roots and plants and things that come from the earth naturally, but that's
Right.
not always the case.
No, I mean, you can buy vegan junk food. Yeah, right. That's very easy to buy as well. So they did want to level the playing field as much as possible. So they, like for the omnivore group, for example, they did have them eating like whole grains only, like no processed grains. They had them eating more vegetables than they usually would, less sugar than they usually would. And the meat quality, he used the term a lot. He said they did not get substandard meat is the word I'll use.
Okay.
Everything was good quality. So even the omnivore group had dietary improvements as well.
Understand. So they were giving them, the omnivores,
Yeah.
very good options.
Right.
And they were giving the vegan dieters
Right.
just regular options? Was their goal to give the omnivores a better menu?
No, they did want to like keep it as level as possible. So basically, get rid of the ultra processed grains and all foods that a lot of people consume. To be honest,
okay.
So get rid of that for both groups, and get them the healthiest option for a vegan, the healthiest option for an omnivore, and compare those two.
Understood. Okay, so what happened then? So did they have some health improvements in both groups or either group?
They did. So back to your question, like, is 8 weeks long enough? The answer is yes.
Okay.
And so they both groups did show some improvements, but there was a clear difference between the vegan group and the omnivore group. They said the twins who ate the vegan diet for 8 weeks had lower the bad LDL cholesterol that we always hear about, better blood sugar levels, and greater weight loss in an 8-week period than their siblings.
Okay.
They said, according to the professor, just to give you the body weight one, because I think this is key, a 3% drop in body weight in just 8 weeks. To me, that sounds huge.
Wow. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Well, depending on how much you weigh.
Sure. Right. It does get proportional, I suppose.
3% can be a large number or a smaller number depending on your total body weight, but still a significant drop in only 2 months.
Exactly. 25% drop in insulin as well. 10 to 15% drop in LDL cholesterol. So these, in just a 2-month period, huge drop. And the key was they had real food. He really stressed this, by eating real food without animal products. So that means no dairy, no eggs, no ingredients that come from animals.
So the vegan dieters lost 3% of their body weight.
Right.
10 to 15% drop in bad cholesterol and a 25% drop in insulin.
That's right. And the doctor did say, like, they actually expected that just because what people were eating. They were eating probably more fiber, getting more vitamins, getting more minerals, getting more phytonutrients, compared to anybody who adds meat to their diet.
Less saturated fat, I would assume.
That was the key one, for sure. They did mention that a lot, yeah. And they did say, so that was not surprising, but surprisingly, by the end of 2 months, they found the twins on the vegan diet tested younger on measures of biological versus chronological age, and that data they're going to present in a future study. So that was kind of the surprise.
Did they check their Teletubbies?
The Teletubbies are forthcoming. We'll have to wait.
What's that word again?
The telomeres?
Telomeres.
The telomeres will reveal in the future, I suppose.
Okay, that's another study.
Yeah.
How about the omnivore diet?
Yeah, they did say it was beneficial, and so you might kind of conclude like, oh, so does that mean we all have to be vegan? And the professor, the main guy behind the study, wants to be clear with this. He says no. That's not like the point exactly, because to be honest, the twins that were on the vegan diet had less overall satisfaction because their diet was so restrictive. And like maybe that was part of why they didn't want to eat as much, because they were just like burned out on it.
But if those people weren't vegan before, then that was being forced on them.
Exactly.
So their food preferences would have been influenced.
Totally.
But had they been vegan before, so we have to take that into account as well.
Yeah.
Not easy, I would assume, to eat a vegan diet. I've heard that a lot. In Korea, it's a challenge. It's a real challenge to find vegan options for people.
Yeah.
Unless you're cooking at home a lot. And the other challenge I've heard is that it can be quite expensive too.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, because a lot of times, you're going to try to go with organic, I assume, as well, which adds cost to what you're buying.
Well, I think just generally speaking, natural foods are a lot more expensive than processed foods, and that holds true for meat eaters as well, I suppose.
That's true.
But so what's the conclusion here then? That as long as we're trying to limit the saturated fats and things that are bad for our bodies, both diets are okay?
Exactly. And the doctor did say, like, no one has to like decide to become vegan today. You can just cut back on eating meat and animal byproducts slowly, bit by bit. But especially if you are at risk for like cardiovascular problems, if you talk to your doctor and your results really weren't good the last time you got a checkup, this is something you could do for a very quick fix in just 2 months.
Make adjustments based on what your body needs.
Exactly.
At that time. Interesting stories today. Casey, thank you so much for this afternoon's Need to Know. Enjoy your week, my friend, and we'll see you again next time.
All right. See you next week.
We'll finish up hour number 1 today with the Flaming Lips. Do you realize?
BEFM 부산 영어방송.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
괜찮아 괜찮아 조금 불편해도 환경을 위해 너무 괜찮아. 일회용 대신 머그컵, 비닐봉지 대신 에코백, 물티슈 대신 손수건. 우리의 실천 하나하나 모여 세상을 바꿔요. 깨끗한 세상 플라스틱 제로, 일회용품 제로, 함께해서 참 좋은 우리의 시민 불편하더라도
이 캠페인은 부산환경공단이 함께합니다.
안녕하세요. 영화배우 김민재입니다. 마약 시작하면 끝입니다.
너도 시작해볼래? 정말 끝내준대.
청춘 끝.
집중이 잘 안 돼? 이거 하나면 끝나.
미래 끝.
다이어트해도 정말 끝내준대.
건강 끝.
걱정할 필요 없어. 뒤끝 전혀 없어.
젊음 끝.
끝난다 끝나. 이제 우리 끝까지 가볼까?
인생 끝. 마약 당신은 이미 그 끝을 알고 있습니다. 마약 시작이 인생 끝입니다. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 3 o'clock.
You're listening to Steve Hatherly Reboot on BEFM 90.5. That was Linny and Friend Zone with Back to Us. Good tune to get us into the second hour. Linny's spine-chilling voice is transcending genres, showcasing both her versatility and also the unique appreciation her talent is garnering. Deemed a star in the making by certain media outlets, Linny's outstanding singer-songwriter talent and sheer drive and unabridged passion have won her repeated success. She is a John Lennon songwriting contest winner as well. In honor of John Lennon, that contest is an international songwriting contest that began in 1997 to give songwriters an opportunity to express themselves, gain recognition, and get their music heard as well. That's a pretty cool thing. I've taken writing classes before. When I was in university, I was an English major, so lots of writing classes, how to construct an essay appropriately and things like that. But songwriting, I would really like to know. I would like to take a class. I think that would be fun. Do they teach that? Can you study that? Can you go to university and take a songwriting class? That would be fun. Don't you think so? I'm sure there must be some sort of, well, I don't want to say mathematical formula because that seems quite dismissive to the process itself. But there's got to be some sort of structure or multiple structures that can be referenced, I would think, when putting together a song. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I've never learned about it. Good tune to get us into the second hour today. Thank you for staying with us for hour number 2 on this Monday afternoon. You're tuned in on BEFM 90.5 in Busan and 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Zhongguan, and Noksan areas. In Seoul on TBS EFM 101.3 and in Gwangju on GFN 98.7. Interesting chat with Casey. Interesting results from that study, right? We assume that a vegan diet is the best thing that we can do for ourselves, and it's true that it is good for your body, but the omnivore diet was good as well. I guess it just depends, how you go about your diet. I've never tried to go vegan before. Have you tried, or perhaps if you are vegan, you can comment on that as well. I mentioned at the end of the first hour that I've heard that it's quite challenging to find vegan meals at an affordable price, or maybe even cooking at home. But to be fair, when I heard that was a long time ago. So maybe there are more options, more affordable options now as well. Yeah, I've never done it. Eating a vegetable-based diet, I think, honestly, would be a challenge for me. And sometimes I wish that I could. And let me replace that word could, because if I really, really, really wanted to, I could. And so could you, right? It's about, your drive or your determination. But I guess I just don't want to. I guess I just enjoy meat too much. Of course, if there were extenuating circumstances and my health or a health problem, knock on wood, that doesn't come, forced me in that direction, diet-wise, then I would have no option but to do so. And it would probably make it a lot easier. My dad had a pretty serious surgery. I won't go into details on what that was. By the way, he's fine. This was years ago. But it forced him to change his diet dramatically. And in the beginning, it was a bit of a challenge for him because, when something's forced on you, it's harder to accept, right? But these days, after the adjustment period was over, he's completely fine with his diet now. So maybe that's the key. It's the motivation, right? And then you need an adjustment period with that, combined with that motivation, and maybe that's the key to doing it successfully. Anyway, it's always fun to talk about food. I don't care what kind of diet we're talking about. Talking about food is always a fun thing. All right, so coming up in hour number 2 today, well, we're talking about habits today, aren't we? And I'll get to some of your answers that you've sent in for your bad habits in just a moment. But on the topic of habits, we always look to people for inspiration, don't we? We look to who we think are some of the best examples for success. And we try to follow their advice about what they say. And sometimes we successfully follow it, and other times we just listen to them and we don't end up doing what they recommend. But still, keeping those things in mind, at the forefront of our minds, can help push us in the right direction, I think. I also think that Steve Jobs is one of the people that people look to when they're looking for little pieces of advice about life. And this, for our fun fact of the day, according to Steve Jobs, there's one habit that will dramatically improve our lives. Any guess what that might be? Do you want to guess before I get to our fun fact? You don't have much time. It's coming up in about 5 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes. But yeah, according to Steve Jobs, one particular habit will dramatically improve our lives. I know the answer, of course. I've read it already. I know what it is. It's not easy for many people. And it has nothing to do with waking up early in the morning or going vegan or eliminating potato chips or, unhealthy cheeses or whatever. It's nothing like that. I want to tell you right now, but I know that I have to save it for a little bit later. But anyway, feel free to take a guess what that might be. That'll be our topic for our fun fact of the day today. Then, for me, myself, and I, our mindless habits, the things that we do every single day that we don't think about, the things that we do that when we do them, we're thinking of something else or we're not really paying attention. And this can be 100 different things, right? Putting on your shoes, tying your shoes. That's a mindless kind of habit, I think. It's something that we do and we don't pay attention when we're doing it, even though we are actually doing it. Well, what do our mindless daily habits reveal about us according to science? It's a fun little topic to look at. I think, as I mentioned in the first hour, we have to take this with a grain of salt, right? Because, it's kind of like one of those BuzzFeed articles, like, which Harry Potter character are you? There's no, according to science, but how much can science actually support this? Regardless, though, we'll have a look and see if we can find some fun topics there. After that, we'll have perfect playlist. We've got the perfect songs, the best songs for every situation. Stick around to find out what our topic or our theme will be for this week. And, of course, I'll check your messages throughout the second hour of the program as well. All right, question of the day today. What is one of your bad habits? 여러분의 나쁜 습관은 무엇인가요? I told you mine in the first hour, right? I think my worst one is scratching the skin, picking at the skin where my thumbnail, the cuticle, I guess it's called, where the thumbnail meets the skin part of my thumb. They're next to each other, right? That's mine. Casey said that his bad habit is procrastinating. Napidi, what's your bad habit? I'm curious to know. Can you text it to me? I'll share it on the show, if you don't mind. There's lots and lots of bad habits. 7411 texted in and said, it takes me more than 30 minutes to have meals, while others need only 5 minutes to clear their food. Good habit for me, bad for my friends. I was going to say, I thought you were saying that eating slowly was a bad habit for you, 7411. But no, you're right. Eating slowly is a really good habit to have. Eating quickly, yeah, they say that's bad for your body too, right? Why? Maybe that'll be a good topic for our fun fact of the day someday this week. Why is eating quickly bad for our bodies? But that's what they say, yeah? So eating slowly, many benefits. You get to enjoy your food more, right? You probably digest better, I would think, because you're chewing and swallowing your food at a slower pace. And then just the social aspect of things. If you're with other people, you can enjoy some conversation while you're eating as well. But even if you're eating alone, you still get to enjoy every bite, like experiencing the bite of food, as opposed to just, which is what most of us do. And I eat like that. I think I eat like that. Maybe not on the weekends, but during the week. Yeah, I think I'm guilty of that. That's a really good habit, 7411. 7411, you said, oh, I thought the text number was a different number, but this is it? Yes, # 9050. If you want to text, that is the way to get in touch. Umberto says, let's go with Screamworks message first. Hi, Scream in in Germany. Spending ages on social media is one bad habit for sure, and I am guilty. Yeah, I think that might be on the list of mindless habits that we're going to talk about. It's true. Scrolling, scroll, post, scroll, post, scroll, It's just an endless cycle. And I'm not a big fan of social media. It feels sometimes pointless, doesn't it? I'm not trying to be overly critical of social media. It has many, many, many benefits as well. But sometimes it's just a total and utter waste of time. That said, sometimes wasting time is a good thing too. You got to turn your brain off for a period of time. All right, so what did Umberto say? Umberto says, creating New Year's resolutions about health and or losing weight and then not completing those goals is a bad habit of mine. Cherish says, my bad habit, same as Casey, procrastination. For example, every time I travel, I only pack my things a day or two before the travel date. What? 2 days? 2 days? That's not procrastinating. That's carefully planning. Procrastinating is when you wake up in the morning and then you open your suitcase and you don't even look at which clothes are going into your suitcase, and you only find out when you get to the hotel at your travel destination and you open up your suitcase and it feels like you've opened a Christmas present and you've received a lot of clothes. That is procrastination, Cherish, not 2 days before traveling. I've done that before. Wake up and just go, shoo, 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 shoo. And when you get there, oh, cool, I brought this. And then sometimes, I didn't bring this. That happens too. That's the flip side of that coin, I suppose. All right, so thanks for your answers. Keep them coming in. I'll check in maybe a little bit later with some more. One more time, what is one of your bad habits? Text me, 여러분의 나쁜 습관은 무엇인가요? Pounder sharp 9050. That's on your cell phone for 101. Add us on Kakao Talk for free and send messages for free by searching BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores. You can listen to our programs there and leave us a comment after logging in. All right, let's get to our expression of the day. This is from King the Land. And in this scene, two characters are arguing with each other. Two characters are arguing, and the third character in the scene is commenting on the fact that whenever these two people meet each other, every time they fight. Let's hear it.
아이고, 하여튼 만나기만 하면 싸워.
아이고. That might be the most commonly used word in the Korean language, I think. 아이고. All right, let's keep going. We'll come back to the beginning in a sec. But first, let's go through the whole expression. 아이고 하여튼 만나기만 하면 싸워. All right. 아이고. Well, we know that one, right? 아이고. 아이고 means like, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. So for this learning, bit of learning, we can scratch that out of there. Okay. 하여튼 means in any case or in every case. 만나기만, whenever you meet, 싸워, fight. Okay, so let's go back and get a very rough translation. In any case, whenever you meet, you fight. 하여튼 만나기만 하면 싸워. We're going to come back to this part too. 만나기만 하면. This is quite useful, I think, in Korean when talking about your habits, I guess, with your friend, when you meet your friends. Okay, let's check the translation. 아이고, 하여튼 만나기만 하면 싸워. The translation was, you two fight like cats and dogs. You two fight, you two people, you two fight like cats and dogs. Well, this is interesting because we know the expression, it's raining cats and dogs, right? That's in every single English language study book on the planet, I think, which, by the way, Nobody really uses that expression in English. It's raining cats and dogs. I can't remember the last time I've heard a native English speaker say, "Ooh, wow, look at that rain. It's raining cats and dogs." I've never heard it. I've never heard people say it. So if you learned it, cool, but you don't need to use that one. But this is the same thing, just a different context. You two fight like cats and dogs. Now this makes sense, right? Cats and dogs generally don't get along. Not every case, but generally. So therefore, when we say two people fight like cats and dogs, that means we fight a lot. So sentence example, when I was younger, my two sisters fought, past tense, like cats and dogs. My two sisters fought like cats and dogs. Note here, not just cat, it's cats. And not just dog, it's dogs. So you two fight like cats and dogs. So for two people that fight a lot, are always arguing, then you can say they fight like cats and dogs. And you can use this about yourself too. If you and your friend, or you and your partner, you and your family member are always fighting, you can say, oh my goodness, we fight like cats and dogs. All right, let's go back to the 만나기만 하면. Every time we meet, whenever we meet. Okay, so let's make an example. Let's say that you want to say to your friend, whenever we meet, we always have fun. 우리 만나기만 하면 재밌죠. 재밌어요. Every time we meet, whenever we meet, we have a good time. How about this one? If you and your friend always drink together, every time you meet, 우리 만나기만 하면 항상 술 먹어요. Or if you eat something delicious every time you see your friend, 우리 만나기만 하면 맛있는 거 먹지. This is good. It's a good expression to express what you and your friend or your friends always do whenever you see each other. All right, so there you go. Those are your expressions for today. You two fight like cats and dogs. And let's hear this again. 아이고, 하여튼 만나기만 하면 싸워.
아이고, 하여튼 만나기만 하면 싸워.
How was my grandma comparison? Not so good, right? She did it better, of course. That is your lesson for today. I hope that helps out your English or your Korean, depending on which one you are learning, if not both. We'll have a break, and when we come back, we'll get into our fun fact of the day. According to Steve Jobs, there is one surprising habit that will dramatically improve your life. We'll find out what that is after the revivalists' good old days. was the Revivalists' good old days, and now it's time for our fun fact of the day. Let's start with a story about Steve Jobs. In an interview, he narrated how at just 12 years old, he decided to call Bill Hewlett. Bill Hewlett is the co-founder of Hewlett-Packard, just to ask if Hewlett could give him some spare parts for the frequency counter that Steve Jobs was trying to build at the time. Lo and behold, Hewlett willingly agreed to give him what he asked for, and he even said, "Hey, why don't you accept this summer job at my company? You can come here and work and assemble frequency counters." And the rest, according to Steve Jobs, was history. Steve Jobs said this: "Most people don't get those experiences in their life because they never ask. I never find anybody that didn't want to help me if I asked them for help. Many of us either have no idea that we could benefit from help or are too afraid to come forward because we assume that this is seen as weakness or perhaps a lack of intelligence." You can see what the secret is here, according to Steve Jobs. The number one rule to live by that will dramatically improve your life, this surprising habit: ask for help. The truth, they say, and the truth, Steve Jobs said, is that it takes a strong person to ask for help. The most successful people in the world could not have achieved all that they have without a little help along the way. That one piece of advice you need to hear as a current or future successful business person or entrepreneur is that it is absolutely acceptable and necessary to seek help when you need it. Oprah Winfrey said, "You get in life what you have the courage to ask for." A Harvard Business School study called "Smart People Ask for Advice. Seeking advice boosts perceptions of competence." It even revealed that when a person seeks advice, it bounces back as a positive impression on them. When asking becomes an instinct rather than an effort, you will find many opportunities are left undiscovered. You get to maximize all the chances to learn new things to improve yourself and find solutions to the most critical conflicts that you may encounter. Do you find it difficult to ask for help? I sometimes do. And what I just shared about what experts say and what Steve Jobs said is that people will think other people will think they are weak or that they're not intelligent if they ask for help, when in fact, it's the opposite. People find it endearing. They like that quality when someone asks for their help. And I think we've talked on the show about it too before, where if you ask someone for their help, they tend to like you even when they didn't like you before. Psychology is very interesting, isn't it? Well, there are 3 simple steps for implementing this habit of asking for help. First, you have to understand that if your goal is to succeed in your chosen career, you need guidance from mentors, experts, or professionals. The truth is that they have more experience, and experience is what you need in order for you to arrive at smarter decisions. This is a quality that ultra-successful people have mastered over time. Step 1, find a mentor at your company, or 2 or 3, and use them for their help. Not use them in a bad way, meaning learn from them. Second, like Steve Jobs, know that there are inevitable instances when your resources, whether tangible or not, will be lacking. So, if you wholeheartedly believe that you are an achiever and not just a dreamer, you know for a fact that you need to ask for any help available. Depending on the scale, you can turn to your own network, like family or friends or colleagues, and even from firms that professionally do financial consultations or otherwise. And finally, third, asking demands trust. The formula of trust is simple. If you want other people to trust you, you have to show them the same level of trust. Furthermore, in the road to becoming wealthy and successful, you need to gain trust of your stakeholders. Okay, maybe we're getting, Steve Jobs is getting a little outside of our own box here, but still good information. As Susan Solovich said, she's an award-winning entrepreneur and keynote speaker. She said, people do business with people they know, with people they like, and people they trust. So ask for help and build your network. The habit of asking might not be formed overnight. In fact, for some people, and maybe that's you, and it is definitely me, it can be difficult. When you're discouraged to continue the principle of asking, remember, in order to make a difference, you have to constantly move out of your comfort zone. Nothing in life worth achieving is easy, but anything is possible. Steve Jobs, his number one rule for success, ask for help when you need it. The benefits are many. We'll have a break, and when we come back, we will have time for today's perfect playlist. Here is Tom Grennan, Little Bit of Love. Or are we going to go with this one? Alicia, sorry, I got that backwards. Alicia Creddy, Pity Party. That was Alicia Cretty, Pity Party. I apologize. I got ahead of myself a little bit before. Now it's time for Me, Myself, and I. And we're going to switch over, still talking about habits today. But what our mindless daily habits reveal about us? Mindless daily habits. Can you think of yours? I mean, we all have 1,000, right? Brushing your teeth is one. Washing your hair in the shower is another. There's 100. Going to the convenience store and buying some milk. That's another mindless habit that we do every single day. Our habits, they can tell something about our emotions, according to quote-unquote science. There are so many actions throughout our days that go unremembered. It's true, right? How many things do we do in a day that we don't even remember at the end of that day? They seem small, they seem insignificant, and to us, they probably are. But they do provide some insight into our emotions or perhaps our personality traits and the way that we approach life in general. Before I start, take these with a grain of salt, I would say. Number 1 on the list, the way that you hang your toilet tissue may reveal how assertive you are. What? Relationship expert Gilda Carl surveyed 2,000 men and women about the way that they hang their bathroom tissue. She also asked them to fill out surveys about how assertive they were in their relationships. What an interesting study. She told The Independent, results showed that those who roll the toilet paper over the top tend to be more dominant, while those who roll it from underneath tend to be more submissive. To be honest with you, I don't even know how it is in my house, in my bathroom, whether it comes over the top or from the bottom. Interestingly, though, some people reported that they change the direction of the roll no matter where they are. And those people were more likely to have dominant personalities. Apparently, this is an important thing for some people. So what that last comment meant, no matter where they are, if they go to a hotel and they prefer to have the bathroom tissue come over the top of the roll, but it's underneath, they'll switch it. They'll switch it around. I've never heard of that before. That's pretty extreme, but apparently that's a sign that you have a dominant personality, and I think we could agree with that. Your eating habits. Since we were talking about diets in the first hour, let's stop on this one briefly. Your eating habits may reveal how you approach life. The Huffington Post spoke to experts on food-related behaviors and learned that our eating habits can say a lot about our personalities. Specifically, slow eaters. Okay, I'm going to be sharing this now, so please, if you're still listening, who sent in that text message about eating over a half an hour's time? 7411. This information is specifically for you. Slow eaters generally like to be in control and know how to appreciate life. Is that true for you, 7411? I wonder. Fast eaters tend to be ambitious, goal-oriented, open to new experiences, and often impatient as well. I think I'm a fast eater, and I think I can agree that I am also impatient as well. This one's interesting. The language that you use may reveal your romantic feelings. Psychologist James Pennebaker has spent years studying function words like the, this, and I. And he found that the way that we use these words can provide clues to our gender, our age, our mental health status, and whether we are romantically interested in our conversation partner. For example, Pennebaker and colleagues listened to recordings of speed dates between men and women and found that when couples used similar language styles, specifically when they used similar function words like the, this, and I, they were more likely to go on a date. That's interesting. As NPR reported, that's not because the couples were more similar to begin with. The researchers observed this phenomenon even among people who were very different. Instead, it's probably because we shift our language when we're interested in someone. In other words, we tend to start talking like them when we are interested in them. That makes sense. Have you ever dated someone before? My wife and I, we use similar expressions. I'll use her expressions and she uses my expressions. Have you done that before? I didn't know there was some science behind it, though. And I'm looking at the clock. Let's end up with this one today. Your emails may reveal whether you are an extrovert or a narcissist. Look closer the next time you open up your emails that you receive, and it could provide some insight into the sender's personality traits. Writing in Fast Company, psychologist Thomas Chamorro Premusic says that extroverts are more likely to talk about fun-related things like music and parties. People with lower emotional intelligence tend to use emotional and negative words like depressed and angry. Perhaps unsurprisingly, narcissists generally talk about themselves all the time, using words like I, me, and mine. And the name of this segment is Me, Myself, and I. What does that say about me? This is for us. It's not just for me. Anyway, interesting to know that some of our mindless daily habits might say something about us. Do you want to do one more? Okay, this is on the topic of emails as well. And this is on the number of unread emails that you might have. Whether you are an inbox hero or you don't mind watching your unread count get up to 10,000, the way you maintain your email inbox may say a lot about your personality. Those who file and delete emails as soon as they receive them, is that you? They have a greater need for control and order in their lives. Those who save emails, meaning they read them but they don't delete them, those people tend to be perfectionists. They think that they'll get around to addressing those messages eventually. And lastly, me, those who leave emails unread without filing or deleting them may feel overwhelmed. Alternatively, they may also be smart because they recognize that reading those emails isn't helping them make substantive progress. Bingo! Hence my 10,000 unread emails from spam senders in my inbox. All right, that was fun. Me, Myself, and I concludes there for today. Now I can say we'll be back with Perfect Playlist after Tom Grennan, A Little Bit of Love.
I've been holding on to be
That was Tom Grennan, a little bit of love, and now it's time for Perfect Playlist. Do you need the perfect song for the perfect situation? We've got you covered. This week's theme, warm-weathered Christmas songs. Come Christmas time, many of us bundle up in heavy coats and gloves and scarves to avoid frostbite. Together we ice skate, we go snow sledding, and we make snowmen and snow angels. Feeling half frozen, we run indoors to drink hot chocolate and roast marshmallows by the fire, cuddling, hopefully, with a sweetheart. But it's Christmas in warm weather locations, too. There may be no snow, but holidays in a tropical area or a beach or some warm weather locations can be just as joyful and just as festive. So with that in mind, let's get to today's warm-weathered Christmas songs. First up, Kenny Chesney, All I Want for Christmas is a Real Good Tan. In 2003, Kenny Chesney suggested to his honey that the perfect holiday gift is a warm Christmas vacation for two to a tropical location. The couple can fall deeper in love, he says, as they relax with their feet in the sand, singing Christmas carols like Silent Night. We'll hear that song, and then Jimmy Buffett, Ho, 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 and a Bottle of Rum. Santa provides that no matter how much you do love your job, burnout can strike even the most dedicated professionals. The bearded old fella has been at his job for almost 2,000 years and has enough work stress and chimney scars to demonstrate that he needs a break from his wife, his half-frozen life, the elves, and that reindeer team. When the Caribbean beckons Santa in this humorous 1996 song, the bearded guy heads to the tropics on a week-long vacation, and in the islands, he works on his tan, he dances with a sword, and he drinks rum concoctions in the sun before he heads back to his work. I like this theme this week. Warm-weathered Christmas songs. Kenny Chesney up first. All I Want for Christmas is a Real Good Tan. And then Jimmy Buffett, Ho, 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 and a Bottle of Rum.
Ooh, don't you think it's a pretty good plan? All I want for Christmas is a real good tan. Christmas is a real good tan. Take me to the islands, put my feet in the sand, rocking to and fro with the rhythm of the ocean, singing Silent Night with the palm trees a blowing. Ooh, don't you think it's a pretty good plan? All I want for Christmas is a real good tan. Well, if you're thinking about getting me a present this year, let me put a bug in your cute little ear. How about 2 tickets to a tropical show where we don't have to wear these winter clothes anymore? Instead of turkey, we'll have mahi-mahi grilling and pina coladas in the blender chilling. All I want for Christmas is a real good tan. Take me to the islands, put my feet in the sand, rocking to and fro with the rhythm of the ocean, singing Silent Night with the palm trees a blowing. Don't you think it's a pretty good plan? It's a real good plan. All I want for Christmas is a real good tan. Well, everybody's praying for a Christmas so white. Come to think about it, that'd be alright. As long as it's sand and not snow on the ground, and every day our skin gets a little more brown. And we'll string some lights in a coconut tree. I'll rub some wool on you, and you can rub some on me. All I want for Christmas is a real good tan. I can see us, baby, on the beach hand in hand, rocking to and fro I can almost feel my toes in the sand. All I want for Christmas is a real good tan. And don't worry, baby, we'll celebrate plenty. I'll buy you some shades and a brand new bikini. We won't have to worry about the holiday rush. It'll be you and me falling deeper in love. Ooh, don't you think it's a pretty good plan? All I want for Christmas is a real good tan. All I want for Christmas is a real good tan.
I mentioned we were going to play those two songs back to back, but we'll finish things up with Jimmy Buffett in just a sec instead. I asked you today, what is one of your bad habits? And 8843 texted in and said, 내 나쁜 버릇. 공부하기 전에 책상 정리하기. 처음에 읽었을 때 제 생각에는 그거 뭐 나쁘지 않죠? 뭐 책상 정리하면 공부 시작하기 전에 그거 좋은 것이에요. 근데 생각도 조금 더 했고 뭐 2시간 동안 정리하면 필통 뭐 이쪽에 있는지 안 됐죠? 뭐 반대쪽에 있어야 됐죠? 뭐 그렇게 정리하면 안 됐죠? So I think I see your point. You are procrastinating, 8843. One last message to read out from 2942 Neiman says, my bad habit is I'm always busy getting ready to go out so that I can go out on time. And that's super, super stressful for me. It's true. Getting ready to leave on time and you feel like you're going to be late. That can be really stressful. All right, that's going to do it for the program for this afternoon. Thank you very much for listening to Steve Hatherly Reboot today. Thanks to Casey for today's Need to Know. Thank you to you, as always, for your listenership and your participation. I have been your host, Steve Hatherly, and he texted in and said, well, I don't do Christmas, but I do like the Christmas spirit. Well, then hopefully you'll enjoy this one. To finish things up today, the one I mentioned before, Jimmy Buffett, Ho, 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 and a Bottle of Rum. Enjoy that track. Have a great day, and we'll reboot again tomorrow.
Stressed out as the holiday season draws near. He's been doing the same job now going on 2,000 years. He's got veins in his brain and chimney scars cover his buns. He hates to admit it, but Christmas is more work than fun. Aww. He needs a vacation from bad decorations and snow.